Welcome back, everyone. We're going to talk about sleep today. Go figure. Got to mention the book. Amazon link to this in the description box down below. As we get to 1,000 subscribers, we're almost there. One person at random will get a signed copy of that, but got to be in it to win it, so make sure you subscribe. Please click like if you like this video. Please share it with your friends and family. And as I always say, these videos are for education only. Today we're going to be talking about a topic which has a strong overlap with a lot of sleep and sleep disorders, and that is ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. That's it. Used to be ADD, but now it's ADHD. Very common condition. Depending on what diagnostic criteria is used, it can be anywhere from 1% of children, especially, to up to 6 or 7%. Okay, depending on what definition is used. The reason I want to talk about it today is because ADHD has a very strong overlap between disorders of sleepiness. Okay, so if somebody has, let's say, obstructive sleep apnea, right, and their sleep is very, very chopped up, and they're very tired the next day, one of the first things that gets affected is their ability to concentrate, the ability to stay focused, the ability to pay attention. Okay, and that can look very, very similar to ADHD. Okay, especially in kids, right? So in adults, we think somebody has sleep apnea. They're going to be tired. They're falling asleep at work. They're falling asleep in school. In their jobs and whatnot. That definitely happens. But in children, actually, when they're sleepy, they get hyperactive. Okay. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because I see a lot of ADHD people. I see people with that diagnosis, and I don't question it, but I always want to know, and I tell this to them, I wonder if there's something else going on, right? So in the adult world, when I see a lot of ADHD patients, one of the first things I think about is, could this be narcolepsy, right? Or could narcolepsy be associated with this condition that's making them that's leaving them tired, of course, but the tiredness results in their inability to stay focused. Okay, and what's interesting is some of the medications we use for narcolepsy, let's say Adderall, Ritalin, right, stimulant type medications, they're also used for ADHD. So patients will come to see me, and they'll say, I've been on Adderall since I was a teenager. I'm now 30 years old. I'm still tired. My attention's a little bit better, but what else is going on here? I see that very, very often, and in many times they actually have a diagnosis of narcolepsy. And I'm not saying the ADHD diagnosis is not real or not valid, but it's something to consider in addition to just being unable to stay focused and be hyperactive. Okay? So the point of this video is to kind of say that ADHD is very common, and I don't know if that's because of, children especially are more exposed to TV and computers and video games and things which, growing up we really didn't have nearly as much of. I'm sure that contributes to it. But I think the diagnosis is thrown around a little bit too much. And if you're a parent, or even if yourself, if you have that diagnosis and you really, really take a strong look at it and say, okay, could it just be sleepiness? Could I just be having poor sleep or poor quality sleep? That may be playing a role, okay? And, somebody may say, well, what difference does it make, right? Especially in the case of narcolepsy. If somebody's on a stimulant medication, which would treat the ADHD and the narcolepsy, what difference does it make? I mean, the person is getting what they're supposed to getting. But one, knowing exactly what you're treating, I think, is important. Two, being educated about what you're being treated for is super important. And three, especially with narcolepsy and sleep apnea and all these other things we talked about, there's alternative treatments that can be used. So things like Xyrem, right, which is the date rape drug. Okay, I have a bunch of videos on that. Or Xywav, its cousin, right? Those are things that people can take at nighttime, which would help them to sleep deeper and sleep better and be more awake the next day, that we prescribe in cases where somebody has narcolepsy or idiopathic hypersomnia. They're not approved for ADHD, nor are they appropriate. right? But if somebody has ADHD and they got diagnosed with narcolepsy and they're on a stimulant medication, now we can add this additional thing to them, this additional medication. Their quality of life may be dramatically better, and maybe they don't need as much Adderall or Ritalin the next day. Okay, and that can be a good thing long term. Okay, just something to think about. ADHD, it's real. I'm not going to debate that. I'm not going to debate, why it gets diagnosed so much. But if somebody does carry that diagnosis, an important question to ask is, could there be an underlying sleep reason that's contributing to this, or making it worse, or even masking itself? All right. So if there's any questions on this or comments on this, leave them in the comment section down below. I answer every and all questions and comments once a month. I do a video or a series of videos answering those. Please share this with your friends and family. And until next time, everybody, sleep well.